So I ended up being an experiment the whole way through, actually. If you read the list of side effects, you wouldn't have gone near the drug.
Yeah, right.
My friend said to me, Julie, do you really want to be a lab rat? And I said, I'd rather be a lab rat than a dead rat.
Hello and welcome to Separate Bathrooms. We would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay our respects to elders both past and present. I'm Cameron Daddo.
And I'm Daddo.
In 2012, our guest today was diagnosed with advanced stage 4 melanoma and given only months to live. She promised her heartbroken teenage daughters that she would survive a big call based on what was going on in her body.
Absolutely. She was so determined and desperate, and she basically forced herself onto an experimental drug trial. Look, she's got such an incredible story to tell. We want to hear it from Julie herself. So let's bring Julie into the bathroom and she can tell us all about it.
Julie Randall. Julie Randall, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming into the bathroom in person.
Yeah, pleasure.
We love it.
So much fun.
So nice.
You look so fit and healthy. Now,
Thank you.
it's been a decade since you were given your dire diagnosis. I mean, you were given a very short time to live. We understand that you've shared your story with millions of people. But for the listener who has not heard it, can you recount what happened?
I can. So you're right, 10 years ago, I turned 50 and wasn't happy about it at all, to the point that on my birthday invitations, I put Julie's 40 10th and kind of felt that I would just stay in my 40s. Had a big party, went to work 4 days later, and literally remember this so clearly because I was driving along and actually practicing gratitude, which is something I didn't do enough, but I was.
Yeah.
It was a day like this. It was a beautiful winter's day. And I was driving along. I'm thinking, thank you for my beautiful children and my wonderful life on the northern beaches where I live. And even the husband got a mention. It was a good day.
Even the husband.
Really a good day.
It was a really good day.
You were feeling really, really inspired
generous.
by gratitude.
Absolutely. And I was going to work that day and it wasn't usual practice, but was being taken out for lunch. So that was even better. And so I was pretty excited. Went to work, went out for lunch down by the Opera House and was walking back to work thinking, how good is life? Walked into my office and somebody asked me what I'd had for lunch and I just stared at them like the words wouldn't come. And I think I said something like, no words or can't find my words. And he just sat me down on a chair.
Yeah.
And next minute paramedics were in front of me trying to bring me round and I could just hear my name being chanted over and over again and my head was down and I remember just feeling really, really sick and they're just going, Julie, trying to bring me around and I just had a massive brain seizure out of the blue in the office.
How frightening for you and for them.
Yes. I've never actually asked any of them what I did or how I fell or what happened. It's just still too raw 10 years later and, frightening for everybody.
So they take you to the hospital and is that when they start to run a battery of tests on you and discover what they then discover?
Yeah, exactly. So went to the hospital, took me by ambulance. I remember just feeling so sick. I think the siren was on. Then they start running tests. And the first thing they realised that they did an MRI and they said, you have something on your brain. Didn't know whether it was going to be malignant or not. But, and by this time my husband's Scott's arrived and he's like, oh, you've just been partying, it's been your 50, you're just tired. And instinctively I just knew that wasn't what it was.
Yeah, right.
And so after maybe an hour, hour and a half, the doctor came in and said, there's something on your brain. We're going to have to run more tests.
So they find that you've got cancer.
They do. So I was there for 24 hours after that, running CTs through my whole body and just waiting. And then they just, I remember it clearly because the doctor and two interns were kind of flanking him and they were walking towards me. It was like slow motion with this look on their face, and I just wanted to press a button to turn them around because I just knew.
You had a feeling.
Yeah. And he just came up and he said, Scott was with me, and he said, you have cancer in your, brain, liver, lungs, pancreas, lymph nodes. It's not good.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I refrained from saying, no shit.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't get a rose.
Didn't
No
get a
shit.
rose. And with that, he said, we need to make up some pills and steroids for you. Can you just wait? No waiting. Had the hospital gown on, jumped out of bed, just bolted.
Really?
And Scott was just bolting behind me going, wait. But, yeah.
You were just
I was
in
just like
flight
running for the
mode.
hills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
Get like going from a fit and healthy woman. I was actually training for a state level touch football tournament.
Oh, no.
There was no sign of anything wrong with me, to just be told, you're gone, you've got cancer in every, most of your major organs.
That's right.
Yeah, kind of all over Red Rover. So I bolted, and then we got in the car, and it was a Friday night, and I distinctly remember everybody's in the city drinking, having a good time, and I'm like, how can you be doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
Don't you
The
know?
world's just falling apart. Don't you know?
Yeah.
And then I had to rehearse all the way home. I was going to tell my teenage daughters their mother was
Oh,
dying.
my gosh.
Did you tell them that night?
night?
So I left out the gory details,
Yeah, right.
but just said, I'm really sorry, I've got cancer. And my elder daughter just kept chanting, no, Mum, no, Mum.
Yeah.
My little one, I call her little, she's nearly 27, but she put her head on my shoulder and just kind of sobbed silently. And with that, I just said, I'll fix this.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix this. I'm not going to die, I promise you. And I promised them.
You promised them. Wow.
And then in my head, I thought,
How do I
I've
do?
been brought up to keep my promises.
Yeah.
This is going to be a hard gig. But
Yeah.
all I could think of, if I didn't make it, there was a good chance of that they knew I was going to try.
Yeah. In that moment, it
Everything.
was the 100%
Yeah.
honest thing to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was what did your husband do during that? I mean, was he just he must have been in
He was-
shock and.
I remember what he said on the way home. He's driving in the car and he said, and I worry about odd socks. And even in that moment, I thought, that's a really weird thing to say.
Yeah.
But that was his way of expressing, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
this is a real problem. And I think he said something like, don't worry, darling, you'll outlive me. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. But, it was just so tough for him. He had to deal with the fact he's just been told his wife's dying. And then she's got to tell our children,
Yeah.
and how are they going to cope with it? And, it's surreal. It was surreal and still feels surreal.
Absolutely.
I saw you had a great story on 60 Minutes.
Yeah.
And so we kind of run through all like the operational procedures that you had done, and you're on chemo. These are kind of like you had a massive that brain surgery.
Yeah.
Almost staples in your head, incredible vision there.
Yeah.
And then you've gone through chemo. They're sort of placeholder things, aren't they? What?
Yeah,
That
great
wasn't-
way to put it, placeholder, because they offered me chemo that might have a chance, 5%, I think one of them was, chance of holding things for a while. So that was it. That was.
I mean, you had a lot of
taken
things
off
to
from me.
hold, though, didn't you? There's in a lot of
You had everything.
places in your body.
So was that the only thing that they could offer you for where you were at
Yes,
medically?
And so I ended up being an experiment the whole way through, actually, because like 10% didn't float my boat. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I know that's 10 in
no
100
odds.
chance of something happening. So my local oncologist had heard of something that was done in Germany, 40 patients, and they put these two different chemos together and the odds lifted to 40%. So I'm like, well, I'll run with that. And so, yeah, that's what I did. And that all the while, that for me is just like, I need to hold this thing so I can figure out how to get better treatment, you know, how to stay alive. So that's all I was hoping for. I knew it wasn't going to save me.
So you did start chemotherapy in Sydney, and how was that? Did that make you feel worse?
To be honest with you, I'm a bit of a tough cookie, and I've always had a really good constitution.
Yeah.
And I handled it okay. Lost all my hair. I'm not one of these no hair, loud and proud ladies. I just hated that part of it, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
And then because part of the two chemos, one was breast cancer, one drug, and one was a kidney cancer drug. So I got thrown into menopause without even being told that was going to happen. So along with everything else that was going on in my life, I was just
Good grief.
sweating and
Like you needed anything else.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that did hold things for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's when I knew that I had to make a move. We went to our oncologist one day, and he was I guess they see people all day, every day, and they're quite blasé with how they present things to you. And Scott and I asked, didn't want to ask, but had to ask, how long is this chemo? You know, how long is this going to work? And I think might have been October or November back in 2012. And he said, I'll put it this way, it won't be working by February next year or March next year. And I remember just putting
What you mean? It won't be effective.
It won't be effective anymore.
Yeah.
Like the cancer's just going to start going nuts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Gosh.
so I had, I put my head down. I remember the lino floor in his office, and I said, well, if you think I'm going to hang around and wait for this to happen, you've got another thing coming. And Scott's saying to him, what else, mate? There's got to be other stuff. And so he sort of knew that there was some experimental stuff overseas. And he said, there's some stage 1, first out of the rats type treatment. It's in America, it's in Spain. And we said, okay, yeah, get us into that. We'll do it. And he said, no, that's up to you. And you have to do that for yourself. So kind of felt a little bit let down at that stage. But I went home and just started researching, just stuck my head in the computer, just, for days, and then found one that kind of just, again, instinctively, it was an immunotherapy drug. And for those who don't know, immunotherapy is a drug that teaches your body to fight the cancer.
Right.
It's not a drug that fights the cancer. It gets infused and it goes to your T cells, and then it learn to fight the cancer. So and it just made a whole heap of sense to me. It's like your body helping itself. And so I started my campaign.
And by campaign, what do you mean by campaign?
Like I rang America. I found this trial in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And there was one in Spain as well. And I'm thinking, well, the language barrier, this one's probably going to be, the best one for me.
Portland's not a bad place too.
We grew to love Portland.
Yeah,
there's a lot of dogs in Portland. Did you notice that? How many dog bowls are around Portland?
Lots of dogs, lots of breweries.
Yeah. Portland and
lots of rain.
Lots of rain.
Lots of rain.
You get snow not far out, as you know.
Yeah.
Lovely fresh air.
True. And I'll tell a funny story about that, which I'll say later, because with this campaign, it started, and I just picked up the phone. I looked up the clinical trials nurse. It was a person called Chris, and I thought it was a female, but it wasn't. It was a male. And left a message and kind of hung up the phone. I'm Julie from Australia. I've been told I've got months to live. I can't leave my babies. I've promised them I'm going to live. You've got something that might help me. Pulled on the heartstrings. But 24 hours later, he called me back. And I couldn't believe it. And he was kind of seemed to be a bit amused more than anything else that an Australian had called, because,
Can you say mommy for me? I love your accent.
That's exactly right. Patty was on reception there. And he was quite positive, this guy at first. And then, bang, all the rejections started coming. Oh, no, it's only for American citizens. And then it was, you won't stay 2 years. You've got a family at home. I'm like, if I stay alive, I'll stay for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it was a money thing. And we just kept combating everything. If it's money, it's a problem, we'll send you the money. And then it was, sorry, the drug company's only letting us take, 70 patients.
Hence,
so
you got in, and we now
I may or may not have read the Hippocratic Oath over the phone one day. I'm a child of the universe. You can't discriminate because I don't live in that country.
Yeah.
And finally they got sick of me pestering them and just went, okay. I got this phone call one day from Patty. What time do you want your appointment?
And you're still in Australia at that point?
I'm still in Australia.
Wow. So you got to get on the first flight out?
I get this call and it's like, I think it was a week later or 2 weeks later. And I'm like, God, I rang Scott and like, we're going to Portland. I didn't even know where it was.
Yeah.
I hadn't even looked at, I thought it was in the
Didn't
middle of
matter.
Fair
America.
enough. It doesn't get a lot of publicity.
No,
old
it
Portland.
doesn't. And
So you became patient 71 of this drug trial, hence the name of your incredible book. Yeah, amazing. Wow. So how long on the drugs were you? I mean, was that a long time? Did you have to stay 2 years? And
so what happened was we're like, we'll stay for 2 years. And as soon as we got there, we started trying to come home, get the drug.
So they were right saying you're not going to stay for 2 years. Yeah, okay.
And I am a girl of my word, but I feel like I could be excused for that one.
yeah.
Our doctor was really amazing anyway. He's like, we'll try and get you home as soon as we can. And somehow my husband hacked into the drug company and
Like
said,
not literally.
we're not... Julie might be patient 71, but she's actually a person.
Yeah.
And we have got children at home. We need to get her home. And they're like, they went back to our doctor in America. How did these people get through to us? Like Scott just was guessing. He found someone's name and then he guessed the email address. And I had snuck home so I lived over there and Scott was trying to run a business, look after our children, come and be with me. We all wanted him at the same time. And anyway, I snuck home. I wasn't allowed to sneak home either, but I did in between treatments sometimes.
How often was the treatment?
So it was every 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in America, for 2 weeks. And my children are at home.
Right.
So I snuck home a few times. I asked my doctor, he's like, please don't ask me, just turn up.
Don't tell me.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so I'm at home one time and I'd snuck at home. They didn't know I was at home. And Scott and I had this big fight because he's like, I'm booking your flight back to America. And I'd had enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going back. I'm not ever going back. And he's like, you're going back. And he walked out the door to go to work that morning and I threw a pillow at the door and just slid down the back of the front door and just cried and cried and cried. And I was like, I don't want to go back. And at that stage too, the money had run out. There'd be no sneaking home or anything like that. I was going back. And this morning I remember for some reason, flicking the kettle on. Then I went over to my computer and just, went into my emails and this email pops up and it says, Julie, your next infusion of nivolumab will be at the Mater Hospital in Sydney on blah, blah date.
Holy smokes.
And I'm like, I'm shivering now, just remembering reading it. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm not going back. I'm home with my family. And the drug was working well for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Interestingly, now they know it ends up, it's more like scar tissue. But back then they'd say, oh, yeah, they've shrunk a little bit and my disease was stable, I was told, for years. But, so then I just got the drug in the Mater Hospital. I was allowed to stay home. And
Did I read, is this correct that you, when you came back and the drug was available here, that it was for free?
Yeah, because we hacked into the drug company, we were allowed to get compassionate drug. So it's for free. It's on the PBS now. So people who present with melanoma, stage 4 melanoma can actually get the drug now.
They can get that drug
They
that
can
you
get-
were on?
They can.
And is it generally as effective
Not
with
for
others as it was with
everybody.
you?
Not for everybody. I
Right.
think I've probably had the one of the best results that anyone's ever had in terms of I didn't really get side effects either. I mean, my thyroid blew out. Big deal. I take thyroid medication.
Yeah.
And that's it. But if you read the list of side effects, you wouldn't have gone near the drug.
Yeah, right.
They do that with all those
I
drugs
just
in
didn't read
America.
them. I didn't read them.
Yeah, good
know?
idea.
I just thought, my friend said to me, Julie, do you really want to be a lab rat? And I said, I'd rather be a lab rat than a dead rat. So,
Fair enough.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah.
And how much longer? So you've done the 8 months in America. You're back in Australia, and then for how many more months or years were you on that medication in Australia?
Yeah, so I came back, so that would have been 2013 or 14. So probably for the next 3-4 years.
Oh wow! Still every 2 weeks?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And then I started kind of running my own race a little bit, and then I thought, I'll just go once a month. And the professor, she just sort of laughs at me. It's like, Julie, she just does whatever she wants to do. But, so for that long. And then one day I just thought, you know what? And she said, look, I think you're good. I think you're good. We don't know. I'm a front runner in this game, right?
Yeah, right. Probably still, yeah.
Yeah. So, but they know science, and they know that once it's on your T cells, it's learnt how to fight melanoma.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right. So I went last week to her and she broke up with me. She said, I never want to see you again.
It's the best breakup, though, isn't it?
What a great breakup. Yeah. And so that was bizarre. So no more scans, no more visits, no more. She said, you know where we are. So I went from you've got months to live, cancer in every, 80% of my major organs to, you're good to go.
To sexy and 60.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. And when I speak this out loud, I keep going, really? Did that really happen? But yeah it did.
Wow.
And, and then on I went to, I think, and I'm reading your book at the moment, which I'm loving so much. And it's like, wow, when you go through something and then you feel the fear of dying or something that's really major, then fear kind of changes shape a little bit. It's still there. It's still there, and it still hammers you. Like you talk about the night time, when you're laying awake, menopausal in the night, and it's like, why are you writing a book? No one's going to read your book. What do you think? All these voices. But you learn to go, hang on, just because they're saying, my mind is saying this, it doesn't mean it's true.
That's right.
And
Don't believe everything you think.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I was going to America, for instance, it was hammering me saying, what are you doing that for? You're going to die over there. Your children are going to be here and you're going to be dead over there. What are you doing? You've only got X amount to live and you're going to spend that away from your kids. And I had to do this dance, this monster saying to the monsters, like if I don't go, I'm definitely going to die.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
right.
short-term pain for long-term gain. And,
Yep.
I'm really lucky it worked out.
How or are you a different person to Julie of 12 years ago to Julie of today?
Probably more just, getting out of my comfort zone and just not being that intimidated. I call myself, I'm like an ambivert, which is, I've looked this up, and it's not an introvert and it's not an extrovert. Part of me is an extrovert and part of me is like, want to run away. I mean, I wanted to run out of the waiting room, like just before. It's like, whoa. And I just go, no.
Yeah.
No, you are doing this, kid. You're
Yeah.
getting in there. And I really feel like I've got stuff to say. So to answer your question, I'm a different person because I put myself out there more. Don't sweat the small stuff as much as I used to. And I just get a lot of joy from helping other people.
Yeah.
A lot of joy. And I get messages from the book. Not as many as when it first came out, but still they flood in saying, you've got no idea, you gave me hope, you know, and hope is such a strong emotion. And I don't believe in false hope. Hope is hope.
Yeah.
You do a lot of public speaking. What do you want people to understand about life?
I think just what we were talking about then. I think I have an aversion to the saying just be yourself, because if everyone was just being themselves, everybody would be happy and no one would need therapy. And it's like you are so much more than yourself. What you think yourself is, you are capable of more. Like, let's use Elle and I as examples. Did you know you could write before you wrote that book? Were you a big writer or?
I'd written some small pieces. Did I think I was going to be able to write a whole book? Yeah, probs not.
Yeah, probs not. For me, I'd never written anything, and but I could always tell a good yarn. You know, I could tell a good story. So I thought, well, if I can tell a good story, I'm just going to write a good story. And when I was going through all of this, I made quite a lot of promises. And one was to my children that I'd fix it. I lay in the dark one night and say, you know, Mrs. Universe, if you help me through this, I will write my story and help other people get through this. So I sort of got home from America and had a little bit of a rest, but then knock, knock, knock. Hey, remember that other promise you made?
Right.
That you're going to write? And I'm like, no. Yes, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it. And we lost a lot financially through what happened to me and ended up selling our family home. But the reason I tell you this is because we moved across the road and we rented a place with this really cute little garden flat in the back, like a little office, and it was just a perfect place to write. So it was kind of like, this has happened for a reason. I used to just sit up there and write. And, yeah, it turns out I'm not too bad. Like, I'm not a literary genius, but I can, you know, tell a good story and people seem to appreciate it. So, and I loved doing it. You know that saying they say when you're doing something you feel like home?
Yes.
It feels like home.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I was writing that book.
I have a question for you, because we speak a lot. It comes up a lot with friends of mine, and you're talking about, Ali's talking about the 3 a.m. wake ups. I've written songs about it, and you're in the dark. Did you have to make friends with the dark? And are you friends with the dark?
I am now to a point. I think Elle says in her book about actually crying one night because she couldn't get to sleep. And I have done that too, because I know I have to get up and do something, or get up and it's like, it's horrible. But I've started a bit of a chant now, and I sort of do some breathing exercises and say I choose sleep now. And I breathe and just say I choose to sleep now. And 9 times out of 10 it works. But yeah, I still get those negative, you know, voices in my head about certain things. It's not normally about the cancer anymore. I really feel done there. But just about things I'm partaking in, and, you know, if I've got a motivational talk to do or something.
When people go through a massive trauma, you know, a life-changing event like yourself, they often say, I'm glad it's happened. I can now say, when they're, you know, a few years out, I'm glad it happened because it's given me so much more. Is that your take on it now? Would you go, I wish it never happened? Or
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm only glad it's happened. My husband says, really? And I am, because I found out so much about myself and just some talents that I'd hidden, you know. Like if somebody said to me, oh, you're going to get on stage and talk to 1,000 people in it, I would have said, yeah, you're joking, no way.
Yeah.
And now I do it and I love it.
Yeah.
And what I love is that people will come up to me and say, you just got to my soul. You just got to my, you know. And I go, wow, what a privilege. What a privilege.
Yes.
I mean, one man wrote to me, said, you saved my wife's life. She, you know, we read your book and we got alternative treatment. We, looked for it and we found it. And it's like, wow. Because some people just go,
Amazing.
whatever doc says,
Yeah.
and people will say to me, oh, gosh, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have gone to America. What, you would have just died? I don't get that.
I mean, and even just that gentleman talking to you about his wife, I mean, like if it's only that,
I know.
that's amazing.
I know.
Right? If it's just one person that went, actually, I'm going to look at another method and that person's life has been saved, what a legacy you've given to that family. I mean, and you've done that over and over and over again for people. So it's an amazing thing to be able to share your story and continue to share your story in such a positive way for people to hear and as you say, give hope in such a dire situation like you were in. And I'm sure that there's people, that are listening now or, know people that it may feel very doom and gloom, but, if we can grab a hold of that hope and see what else is out there.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who complain about things? What's your MO on that?
Look, it's kind of a natural thing to do sometimes, isn't it? But just pick your battles, pick what you're complaining about. Really, at the end of the day, does it really matter? You need to kind of give it a scale, don't you, from 1 to 10? What does that mean to me? Why am I complaining? Nah, that's a 1.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a great...
Put it on the scale.
That's a great tip. I love that, a 1 to 10 complain scale.
Yeah.
Because I look at you and I'm hearing you speak and you've been through so much in the last decade, and I'm sure prior to that your determination to move things the way you want to was a huge thing, which was a big, probably informed how you were in getting over to Portland and then being able to come back from Portland.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. And so I can imagine when you're sitting there listening to someone kind of wax on about first world problems after all that you've been through, it must be, kind of going, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Mate, time to get a grip,
Yeah.
or have a think. And I'm sure no one likes to be told or be felt judged either. So I'm sure you understand that. So, but I sit here with you and I'm thinking, if I'm in your company, I probably wouldn't be. I got a blister, I got a little paper cut on my lip, and I probably wouldn't mention, okay, this lady's been through so much.
I know, people do, say stuff to me like, I went to the doctors because, this was, and I'm like,
yeah.
Tell someone else.
He's a quarter. Don't tell someone who cares, man. Yeah. But I love the complaint scale's great, 1 to 10. This is a 2. Okay, probably not so. Yeah, we'll just
I'll let that one
live
go.
with that.
Okay, slide that one through.
Yeah.
We, of course, lost very recently a beautiful human being in Olivia Newton-John to cancer. How does that hit you when you hear news like that?
Yeah, hard with her actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, just being the Aussie icon that she was. And really sad when I saw her daughter on 60 Minutes, and it was before she died.
Right.
And she was just so sad. And I really resonated with what Chloe said, because she's like, I don't want everybody talking about it all the time, because Mum, it brings it up for Mum all the time.
Yeah.
And I felt really strongly about that when I was going through it, that please don't look at me as cancer. I'm Julie.
Interesting.
And I talk about this in the book because I would still go out to places. Took me a while, but I would go out to places and somebody would just beeline me from the back of the room. I might be standing there with a glass of champagne and say, how's your health? And I think, you really think I want to talk about that now? And take me back to that place where the depths of despair kind of thing. And I don't think people mean well. They do mean well. But when I heard Chloe speak, say that on 60 Minutes, I just thought, yeah, you're so right. Olivia would just have that in her face a lot more than other people. But I felt sad for her because I feel things are moving very quick in the cancer arena, and I believe there will be a cure in the next 10 to 20 years for everyone. That's my hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, too many people die from this, and it's just so awful to go through knowing that there's something in your body that's just trying to infiltrate you and kill you, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, certainly what you've been through and the success that you had is going to inform the way forward. You know, it gives researchers and doctors hope in their journey, going, well, this worked. So having your successes, I'm sure there are other people within that patient 70 trial and you being 71 that I wondered, did other people have success like you did from that?
So many people ask me this, and I can only give you the stats, and it's 38% at that time.
Yeah, right.
Responding, whether they went on to actually live and be cured like me, I don't know, because to be honest, I had blinkers on when I was in that clinical trial. I sat there and I had a one-track mind of curing my body, and I know there was kind of sick people either side of me, but I just tried to stay super duper focused in my own lane, didn't ask about anyone else, which might sound a bit almost selfish, but I had to be.
I think you're allowed to do that in that situation, Julie.
I had to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, look, one last question for you. What is next for you in your life?
Wow, I'm so excited. I'm, after COVID, getting back on the speaking circuit, which is really nice, so I've got a few things booked in. I'd like to write another book, and that would be all about more like a transformational memoir, lessons learnt from going through what I went through. Also, I'm really passionate about mine and anyone our age. I'm older than you, Elle, but I've just turned 60. For our next years to be our best years.
Yeah.
You know, as you said too in the book, people sometimes, I know I found my talent and gifts from what I went through.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, you know, you don't want to die with the music left in you. And that's my passion now, is to, and I'm looking at it like a movement type program called Next Year's Best Years, and I'm going to throw that out there and get some women on board to live our best lives to where, 90 or 100.
Absolutely. Love it.
So do I.
Love
I reckon my mum would be right in there with you on that one. Mum's.
There'd be a lot of women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. There's so much living to do in these years of our lives that we're not told that there is.
No.
And yet you get here and you go, hang on a minute, I feel better than ever.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. And because you lose so much of the mind chatter of I can't, I shouldn't, I'll embarrass myself. Now you're just like, bugger it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do it
Just
anyway.
like, I know what you're about and I'm not listening to you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And at the end of the day, that chatter is all about, it's trying to protect you from getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's trying to go, no, you just stay in there.
That's right.
You
You'll
stay
be
in
safe.
your box. You'll be, and it's a thing from back in the cave, man days where, don't go out of the cave, you're going to get killed sort of thing.
Yep.
And we haven't really evolved. Our minds haven't evolved. They think speaking on stage is it's going to kill you, or you're going to die. But the only thing you're going to die from is embarrassment if you fall over or something. And,
And you don't die. You just get embarrassed and giggle and dust yourself off. And keep telling your story. Please keep telling your story and please put that movement together. My mum's 82, 83. She continues to make art and learn new things and go walking, up Machu Picchu or something like that. She's just,
I love that.
And in your movement, you're going to need each decade represented. So
Yes.
when you do it, I'll say to Mum, you got to go and be the 80-something in there.
Yeah.
Because it's so great.
It is. Who wants to just, wither away?
Yeah.
Not me. No.
Exactly right.
Not me, not anyone. So, that's me moving forward.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing it with us and our listeners.
Yeah.
Really, thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
What a great message from Julie. Such a positive message of hope.
And so generous.
Yeah, so
and kind.
generous.
Look, she just walked out, and prior to walking out, she was talking about someone who had been given a cancer diagnosis, who was in their mid-60s.
Yep.
And was saying, I've had a good life. And she said, you give me their number, I'm going to call them up. She rang them up, and she gave the guy the riot act and said, you've got a lot of life to live, and I will help you research whatever it is. And that's what she does. I said, that's so generous. She said, that's my payback.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's right. And changing his attitude, really.
That was and changing his attitude.
Changing his attitude. Because we have someone who we put our faith in, a professional, a doctor that says, that's it, you've got 2 months to live. And, we can buy that. We can go, okay, that's it, I get my things in order. Where Julie was like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah.
I got promises to keep. I got things to do. And of course, it doesn't mean that, sadly, cancer can't still take you down, even with all that, though.
Yeah.
Man, I'd want to go out fighting as hard as I could.
At least you make a cause.
Yeah.
And that's the same for anything.
Absolutely.
There's different ways to do it. Some people do things, everyone does it their way. It's their way.
Yeah,
We've got to find our way.
that's right.
So, yeah, she's great. Patient 71 is the book.
Yep. And look for Julie on the speaking tours as well.
Yeah, right.
So she's a motivational speaker. Really wonderful to hear from her.
I feel motivated.
Good on you.
Yes, I'm excited. All right. We will see you, we'll be with you next time.
Thanks so much for listening. And if you liked this podcast, you can rate and review us. Just head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening and give us a review. Thanks so much.